What's up, tankers? Got a tank gunning guide for you today. If you're looking to up your shooting game, this is for you. This video specifically pertains to version 14.6 of Hell Let Loose. If something changes, they overhaul tanks in the game, obviously I will update it. But this is going to be stuff that you don't find. This is stuff you learn over the years. If you are new to tank gunning, I always recommend you go and read the Tanker's Bible. I will link it in the description. There's also other great guides out there, which I hope not to overlap ideas from. Gebetron, Mono, Fresh Baked Goods, all have really good tank guides. If you've seen those guides, you know the Tanker's Bible back to front, then this video is for you. So first things first, I want to explain the meta a little bit for you. In 14.6, basically every tank is a two-shot. No matter if you're a heavy or you are a medium tank. Now, I'm not going to get into, well, if a medium's fighting a heavy, it could be a three-shot and all that stuff. But because it is a two-shot meta, you need to shoot first, which means you need to shoot on the move. And this is going to be very difficult. Right now, you're probably watching some clips of me shooting while on the move. The best thing you can do is, number one, read the terrain, predict where the tank is going to go, how it's going to move up and down. I always recommend you play with the same driver if possible, because you know how they stop the tank. Sometimes you've got big lurches. Some guys can actually smoothen it out, but that's only going to make your game better because you've got to get that first shot off, especially if it's a heavy versus a heavy, and every second counts. So if you're looking to get better on hitting those moving shots, a couple things I always try to do is you're driving out of HQ, headed to the front line, try slamming it into trees, try slamming it into broken buildings, waste a couple shots just to practice. The other thing you can do is when you see things that are not a threat to you, such as the light tanks, maybe even medium tanks, take the opportunity to practice to shoot while moving. Don't just wait for your driver to stop and line you up perfect. Supply trucks are great for this. Troop trucks are great for this, and there's obviously a couple clips there. So that's the first thing. You have to shoot while you're on the move. Second tip I'm going to share for you today is leading your targets. If you have moving targets that you're facing, each reticle is unique, and you can find track points to do so. But my favorite, obviously, is the German sight, which you can probably see right here, where you have your big triangle, which is your main crosshair, and then you have these other small little triangles. Definitely take advantage of those. You can use those as your crosshair when objects are moving left to right, right to left. You can see on these bridge shots here, shooting a moving target. What I'm visualizing right here is I'm not focused on that main triangle. I'm already on the second or third when I'm leading them. So make sure you take advantage of that. If you're on the Allied side, there's a lot of little bars that you can use, but be sure to use them. Next tip is you need to adjust for elevation. If it's 200 meters away, but they're on top of a hill, you're going to have to aim a little higher. And this may seem like nothing, but one track shot is the difference between life and death. If you end up tracking them because you aim too low, you're going to be dead. If you're playing allies on Remagen and you're shooting across the river up the hill and that target is 800 meters, you need to set it as if it were 1,000 meters, depending on the elevation. So it's not just tried and true, and the same goes for if you're shooting down the hill at a target from Remagen as Axis. You don't have to necessarily line it up as you would if you were on flat ground, such as Foy, SME, one of those maps. Next tip for you is one that I had to learn the hard way, and you're going to see from this video here. You need to take the hit if you're ahead. So, for example, in this shot right here, we had a tank that peeked the corner. We knew they were going to because we had infantry callouts, and we got the first shot on. We pulled up, and I fired at the same time that they fired. And here's another video of that. And what happens is if you both fire or they fire right before you do, the tank gets jostled around, your shot goes flying 300 meters to the left, and now your one shot advantage is gone. Here's an example where we hit them first, and I knew that they were lining up the shot slowly to hit me. And so I waited for them to fire, take the hit, especially because we're close to cover, and then back down. So sometimes it is worth it to take that hit, because if you don't, you might end up dead, like I did stupidly in that video. The next shooting tip goes along with the idea of miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And if you're ahead in a tank fight, meaning you've hit them with one and they just need one more, but they dip behind a hedge and you haven't taken a hit yet, it's worth trying to shoot through it. The video right now shows a game on Utah where we're just putting tons of shots through hedges, and I'll call it getting lucky. We know where they are, I just don't know if it's going to go through the hedge. So it is worth it. Again, you got to be ahead to do this. If you're not ahead, meaning they have a shot into you and you haven't hit them yet, it's better to go for cover. Next tip is going to be around shot placement. If you find yourself broadside to an enemy tank, whether you're undergunned or equal gunned, but you don't want to take any damage, you can shoot the tank in the turret, which will nearly immobilize it, making their turn radius very slow. And it does require their driver to point the tank towards you, which is going to buy you a ton of time because it's very difficult to aim from the driver's position. The other thing you'll want to make sure you do is, if they are facing you, of course you are facing them, is to not hit the barrel, or it's going to cost you an extra shot to try and kill them. You can see in this video here, I take a little more extra time because the tank is moving to make sure that I'm not in line with the barrel. You do get the kill on this tank. Next tip is shooting through fences. It can be somewhat difficult to do this. Barbed wire is a real pain and sometimes tough to see, especially at far distances. Some of the posts, they line up with dirt, are tough to see, but can shoot through them. It's going to take some practice. It still gets me tripped up every now and then, especially when you're trying to get that first shot off before they do. What you need to do is just line up your crosshairs so it dips under or over them, but you can shoot through fences. It's not a complete block, but if you do hit the wires or the fence post, yeah, it's not going to go through. Next two tips have to do with your engaging with infantry. Number one is trees are your best friends. You can bounce shots off of trees that are behind a hedge, especially HE, to get to clear it out behind them. The other thing you'll want to do is, if you're going into a blind hedge where you know the enemy may be, it's probably best to avoid being satcheled by splashing the ground as you're pulling through that or pulling around that building object. This one's not, I would say, very special of a tip, but if you're new to Hell Let Loose or new to tanking, it can definitely save you from somebody just waiting on the other side. Doesn't always work, but it's there for you. The last tip for today, it's actually kind of a boring one, but if you're going to be shelling the attacking point from far away, or you're trying to save a point but you have friendlies in the area, you can either drop your own observe marker or attack marker so you know where your friendlies are not, because they are trying to cap it, so you don't want to hit them. Or you can have your tank commander drop a observation mark to where blueberries are not. But before you start sending those long shots of HE, make sure you know where your blueberries are on the point, where those friendlies are, so you're not taking them out. That about does it for today. If you like these type of guides, I will definitely keep doing them. Just drop a comment below. If you've got any questions on shooting, drop a comment below. And of course, you may end up seeing me in the Chad server. That's where I pretty much exclusively play. So hit me up over there as well. Thanks for watching.